Tree, welcome to Monday night's programme. The government's confirmed tonight Stagecoach will lose the East Coast mainline franchise after getting into financial difficulties. The Labour Party says this is yet another example of rail privatisation failing to deliver. The Transport Secretary, Chris Grayling, told the Commons the company might still run the line on a short-term, not-for-profit basis.
This is not going to impact on the railway's day-to-day operations. The business will continue to operate as usual, with no impact on services or staff on the East Coast. But it does mean I need to put in place in the very near future a successor arrangement to operate this railway and to end the current contract.
PhilMarsh joins us on this from Rail News. Evening, Phil.
Hello.
Can you just explain to people listening what's happened here?
Stagecoach have run out of money, that is the long and the short of it. When they made the bid in conjunction with Virgin, it's a 90% Stagecoach, 10% Virgin joint venture, they made various revenue assumptions that they would increase the amount of passengers, run more trains, and therefore generate more income. That hasn't happened for various reasons. Some of the reasons are that Network Rail hasn't delivered the infrastructure upgrade they promised, and that is going to lead to an almighty legal battle between the Virgin Trains East Coast lawyers and the Department for Transport lawyers on behalf of Network Rail. What everybody needs to know is the railway will remain as safe as it is today, as it will be tomorrow, as it was yesterday. There will be no jobs at risk. The trains will run as normal, and nobody who has bought a ticket in advance, they will not lose any money. The tickets will be valid.
And who's going to run the service then?
Well, it'll be the same frontline staff. I still work as frontline staff from time to time, and it's always those frontline staff that keep the job going, irrespective of the politics and whether you say that with a capital P or a small p. They will make sure the job runs. They always do. So
that'll be Virgin?
Well, it's the staff that are paid by the Virgin Trains East Coast Company.
Yeah.
What is interesting that, of course, in 2015, when they in the competition to run this franchise, the team that was operating it on behalf of the government, directly operated railways, some listeners might recall, they were not allowed to bid for this franchise because the then Rail Minister, Stephen Hammond, I interviewed him, he said the train company has caused too many infrastructure delays, and he didn't understand that his briefing was wrong, that it's Network Rail that causes most of the delays, as they would do, because they run the infrastructure and not the trains. And that leads me on to another slightly controversial point. With every rail franchise, there is a thing called a track access agreement, and the DfT signs that, as do the train company, as do Network Rail. If a Virgin Trains East Coast train is delayed by whatever, it would be a signal failure or any other train company blocking it, they will receive compensation under what is known as the Schedule 8 in that contract. What I would be interested to know is that if Virgin Trains East Coast are going to be running this on a not-for-profit management contract, will they still be eligible to get these Schedule 8 payments, which really go straight onto the bottom line profit of every rail franchise?
And how close are we to having this portion of the line renationalised? That's the phrase I've heard being used today. The FT tomorrow morning instead used the phrase direct Department for Transport Management.
Well, that's the directly operated railways that ran it up to 2015. They ran it for 6 or 7 years very successfully. But every politician is wrong, in my opinion. It doesn't matter which party they belong to. Network Rail is run as an agency of the government. The Department for Transport is obviously the government. The Department for Transport lets the franchises on a very tight contractual basis to the joint venture companies. So the railways are pretty much nationalised anyway. So you cannot renationalise them because most of them are already there.
Phil, thanks for filling us in. Phil Marsh from Rail News on the latest involving Stagecoach and that East Coast franchise. 10:38, more than 600 pubs have either been demolished or converted